Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay. Welcome back to the Shadowlands Alpha first pass testing coverage gobbledygook of me talking a whole lot about these classes and specs and things. This is the Restoration Shaman. And I'm real honest with you right now. Nothing changed. So, all right, that's the episode. All right, see ya. No, obviously not. There are some baseline adjustments. I got at least 3 people in chat, even though you know how long the video is, so yeah. Bad joke. Cringe. There you go. Sure, whatever. There are some baseline changes and things we'll go over. And obviously, if you read the title of the video, Mana Tide is back. And I think I've submitted the most bug / suggestion / feedback reports while streaming of any spec so far. So if you're curious where all this testing happens, down below in the video description box below, there is, of course, all my socials and things you can find out everywhere place on the internet. But in particular, if you want to be here live when we do these testing segments, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, or whatever your local equivalent is, if you can't be there live, the testing broadcast gets highlighted in VOD form, goes on my channel guide. The dungeon run we did, even though didn't really do much of a dungeon run in this one because we couldn't get a full dungeon group together, and then when we did, then someone left. It happened. We tested other things out during it, and I was always trying to get a feel for. I play Shaman on live, so I don't need to like Resto Shaman is Resto Shaman. Nothing like crazy happened, but all that is just down below on the channel guide or over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/FinalBossTV. Swing by if you'd like. Give the channel a follow if you want to check out what I'm doing in the future, side content stuff, etc. But I was going to be sitting here with this guy swiggling around, but some people really don't like how the shields animate because anxiety inducing, or it just gets really kind of annoying after a little while because the same thing swirling around your character, never ending. But the Resto Shaman, this is the biggest change to the shields. So we have Lightning Shield and Water Shield and Earth Shield. All baseline. They're in the Shaman book. If you look in your class tabs, of course, from their coverage here, we have the class tab and the spec tab. So in the class tab, you'll also see things like Flame Tongue Weapon. It exists. All it does is add some additional fire damage on your attack. Also, Primal Strike is here. Searing Totem's also back, which is kind of a fine thing, to be honest, because Searing Totem will add a little bit extra damage to the weaker toolkit of the damage kit for the Restoration Shaman, which isn't bad. It's just not great. I did confirm that Restoration's Lava Burst still hits harder than Elementals. It has a higher aura back end on it, of course, but that's because Resto Shaman has less overall DPS tools, so its Lava Burst hits harder. Little things like that are still in. And as that caveats into something else real quick here, there are a absolute ton of mana cost changes and spell coefficient changes behind the scenes, but I think most of that is to deal with the fact that obviously we're squished down. I actually leveled to 51 doing the dungeon XP. It happens. But I do believe it's mostly because of our stats are so much smaller, right? I only have 470 int right now, level 51. How much we're going to have at 60? 1,000? How much do you have right now in BFA? Many thousands. So I think it's mostly to keep things relative. So there's lots of mana cost changes and spell coefficient changes. So be it, right? We'll have to see how it feels at max level in comparison to what it is right now. Other things that are baseline, of course, you saw all 3 shields. As I went over before, you cannot have multiple shields on yourself. You, of course, can put your Earth Shield on someone else, like this Praetor Sentry over here as I fall off the banister. And then you can have your Water Shield on yourself, or your Lightning Shield on yourself, Lightning Shield just reflects some damage to melee attackers and potentially works on certain AoEs and AoE blasts or tick rate AoEs that may add some extra damage. The same kind of thing can happen with Water Shield as well, whereas Water Shield you have to be hit for the Water Shield to activate. But overall, it could also proc off of, because it has 3 charges. Lightning Shield has infinite. And Earth Shield, of course, has the base 9. Water Shield has 3, meaning that as these proc, you do have to refresh your Water Shield. I kept calling it Mana Shield today, but it kind of basically is, right? That is going to be one of the extra little skill gauges that have been turned up just a little bit. Just a little bit for Restoration Shaman. Everything else you're seeing here is what's still on live. You still have Wind Shear, still the only healer with an actual regular interrupt, which is wild. And what else is here? Oh, yeah. This little guy. So Mana Tide Totem, let's talk about it real quick for just a moment. Because this video is not going to be super long, because this is the biggest thing that came in here. And there's one new talent. But Mana Tide Totem. There's a clip I'll post in the description down below, or if you saw it live, or it might go on my social media at some point here in the future. Mana Tide Totem stacks with other Mana Tide Totems and other mana regeneration abilities, such as Mage Evocation. Not sure it's supposed to. It is very placeholder right now, as it doesn't have a... Like, if you cast a totem, right, you cast Searing. Blonk. You cast your Healing Stream. Blonk. Right? You cast all your totems. They have animations. They have that satisfying plonk, right? Mana Tide Totem does nothing. It just exists. It also has a 15-yard range, which is not very far. It's like here from the totem. Where the totem was to me, where my hand is right now in the game. So this is the big change to it, and maybe why it's going to be so powerful. Again, I'm not sure if it's supposed to affect non-healers. Innervate, making your spells free for a little bit from druids, only affects healers. Symbol of Hope from priests, the 5-minute channel to restore missing mana only affects healers. I did report that if that is the case for Mana Tide Totem, it's not all hooked up yet. I can easily see it going to be a healer cooldown. The fact that you can clip and evocate while it's down and you can get full mana in 2 seconds doesn't seem intentional. Or maybe it does. Maybe it's the whole point of trying to give shamans back something so they're not like this weird stigma in the community about, oh, Restoration Shaman's bad, or oh, blah, 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 they can't heal mythic players. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I also reported that like things say when you put down, Healing Stream or Healing Tide Totem, at least there's like an AoE effect, it's happening. And obviously when you put down SLT, you have the circle of effect of SLT. I suggested Mana Tide should have some sort of aura in that 15 yards, like a light blue halo around it, so you know where the affected area is potentially. Because having to, obviously group stack up, and you think you're close enough. The Praetor Sentry is the Mana Tide Totem, but you're like 2 yards outside of it. You don't get the benefit of it, and you're the healer that needs the mana, right? Obviously, you want to like stand on that thing and hump it, right? Give me my mana back. But at the same time, it needs a little something. Even just sitting here by this plant, see this little like swooshy, watery, swiggly going on here? Something that helps players know where it is effective, and hopefully will be a thing we can see on live. As you see here as well, whenever I play a healer, I always want to talk about help harm macros. I don't know if I showed them off in the Druid video, but hopefully I did. But these are things for like Chain Heal is also Chain Lightning, and Healing Surge is also Lightning Bolt, and Healing Wave is also Lava Burst. So that basically means that you can save your... Look at my hotbar. I have buttons above my freaking head, for crying out loud. There's a lot of buttons for Shaman overall. But that means you can offensively cast a spell, and then defensively or help cast a healing spell. There is one layer to this. I'm sure the comments, I think, said it on the Restoration Druid video. You can add inside the help harm. You can do at mouse overs, so you can, or at focus, particularly if you want to. So I like, as a healer, I like clicking on the target, or obviously clicking on my grid, for example, to have that target selected, then I heal them. But without this, I can't use mouse overs unless I actually recode them to be mouse overs. But again, here's, there he is. Just kind of hanging out. Also, Searing Totem won't attack target dummies. It's kind of super obnoxious. It looks at it. It doesn't do anything. Random note on totems. Counter-Strike Totem, the PvP talent totem, will attack Searing Totem. It's actually adorable. It happened in the testing stream. Again, channel guide, link down below, or over on the Twitch channel in the collections tab, which I didn't mention. Everything is in the collections tab on Twitch for testing. So you can go to videos and go to collections in the drop-down menu, but it looked really silly. The little tiny fireball hit my testing buddy. Calrel helped me out. And then the little lightning bolt went pew and hit the actual totem. It doesn't have 5 health, so it took a couple of shots and it would have eventually killed it, but stupid totem interactions. Additionally, as I put here, Mana Freaking Totem is back. And I put some more notes. Let me see what I had here for Mana Tide and Symbol of Hope. So Mana Tide Totem is 3-minute cooldown. It has doubling your mana regeneration rate, which I'll show off when it comes back off cooldown here again. And this, it stacks at, I have 400. Say earlier today when I was testing, my mana regen was lower because I was only level 50. But say without Water Shield, which I'll go into more in a minute because Water Shield adds some mana regen. There we go. I had 400 base mana regen before. We have 503 right now. With 1 Mana Tide Totem, I went to 800. It doubled it, which makes sense for 100% more. 2 Mana Tide Totems, it doubled the double. So it exponentially scaled. So it went 4, 8, 16, and obviously it would go to 3,200 mana regen after that, and then all the way up to 6,400. Again, if it's only healers, maybe in Mythic Raids, for example, which is what I focus on, it's 3 to 4 healers most of the time anyway, 5 on a very rare occasion. Very rare. But not sure, because it can affect everyone currently. And there is some potential for that because the mana regeneration, say on utility spells, say on your Balanced Druids, your Feral Druids, your Mages for spell steals and things. Again, the clip, if you didn't go look at it, watch it later. It's with Arcane Mage, which obviously has more mana regeneration and a higher mana pool. But your other shamans, right? Your elemental and enhancement shamans that are using Purge a lot or doing it in PvP, Mana Tide Totem would work on them. And I don't know if that's intentional or not. I just don't know. While this cools down, allow me to hydrate, because I have been talking for many hours straight while I record this. 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. And you'll see that it does stack in a different way here, because it works on your actual mana regeneration. So to go back over here to additional mana regeneration, Water Shield has the passive mana regen every 5. Your mana is always regenerating. It says every 5. The base, also, the base, stupid, so bad. But your mana is always regenerating. This just gives you what you get every 5 seconds. But your mana is constantly regenerating. There's no in or out of combat nonsense anymore. But this adds extra passive over 5 seconds every second. And then it's 2% of your mana when it would pop a bubble, which is when I had 10,000 mana, 200 obviously. But it does say few seconds. We did test it. I was getting totally bashed in by a whole undead, unholy DK army. It was proccing every 3 seconds on the nose. 4 seconds was more common. There might be some rounding there. I don't know in the actual tooltips in the combat log. But look at my mana regeneration now. So if I say at 540 Mana Tide Totem, it just straight up, there we go. It doesn't update. And so it doubles it completely with your Water Shield there as well, right? Because if I was at 500, it would have went to 1,000 only, but we have the 539. And if I had a second Mana Tide Totem, it would double the 1,000 plus to over 2,000. And maybe that's supposed to be, but that scares me. So I got Spirit Walker's Grace. Everything else is the same other than the little things I mentioned about how some mana costs have changed and shifted around a little bit. Deep healing is still the same. I know people have been looking for deep healing to be changed. Otherwise, people don't want it to be changed because it's people always ask about that. Resto Shaman doesn't have really a tank cooldown. In a weird way, your tank cooldown is your mastery in a way, because as your tank takes more damage and lowers in health, all of your healing is just built in doing more healing, which Holy Priests have to pay a cooldown for that, right? In Divine Spirit or whatever, Wings, that adds healing taken. Obviously, it has the sort of cheat death effect too, but that's still there. Resurgence is still the same for what I saw. Still works with Unleashed Life as well. Does not work with Surge of Earth. Get to that more in a moment. Tidal Waves, still the same. I take Flash Flood. I like Flash Flood when I play Resto. Lava Surge, still the same chance to proc 20%, which is 5% higher than Elemental, because as you're healing and to offset the amount of time that you're spent actually healing and not doing damage, you have a slightly higher chance to proc your big damaging meatball. And that'll bring me real quick over to Flame Shock, which I had to actually go to. We went to the Gamepedia page for this. Flame Shock is an 18-second duration again. It can't be a World of Warcraft expansion without a Flame Shock duration change. This is the fourth time it's had its duration changed over the course of WoW's history. Fourth time. Back to 18 seconds. Not sure about that, but that's how it is. And that's the world we live in right now. Additionally, Surge of Earth. The other new big talent here. Let's go back over here to one of these guards I could put Earth Shield on, because there's no healing dummies right now in Hero's Rest. Surge of Earth, brand new. Doesn't have any hookups for any visuals yet, but it's a slight mana cost, very tiny. 20-second cooldown, 40-yard range that does obey LOS. However, as it reads, it consumes up to 3 charges of your Earth Shield on the Earth Shielded ally to heal up to 6 allies within near range, which is 8 yards, of the Earth Shielded target. So if I go over here, crack this open, what happened to me? If I'm close enough, whoop. Hello? There's the Surge of Earth. It did not heal me because it's a PvP NPC, most likely. Anyway, that's totally fine. But there's the Surge of Earth. The one thing that I have to bring up about this is I have no target right now, right? No target. Surge of Earth, you can't see the HP. It doesn't like floating combat text on the guard. Does work without targeting the person with it. This is obviously could be an alpha thing. Might not be a guaranteed change or intended implementation, but it 100% works with no target. You see the healing on me there. So what I was finding out is you can be healing other targets, putting a Riptide out on someone else, dropping a totem, but your tank needs heal, and you want to rip some healing off to your group or as well, melee, depending on if they're around the mobs. So it's very melee focused, but obviously to your tank, you can be healing someone else and focusing on them and still heal and get a little bit of that Surge of Earth out and then go back to healing your other target. So it's almost like a built-in focus macro kind of a spell. And it does, the big thing I noticed about today, and you can go back to the actual VOD if you're interested. Again, not a full dungeon run, but we did some stuff and you saw some things. But it does require a lot of recasting Earth Shield. Now, I'm not entirely sure Earth Shield's mana cost, not a big thing, really. But the maintenance, because an Earth Shield charge will obviously be eaten every 3 to 4 seconds just by the tank taking damage, it does require a lot of that little extra shield management. And then to go back to Water Shield as well, which came back, Water Shield requires management. If it's taking damage, if it's popping orbs, giving you extra mana from whatever sources, or if you have aggro or whatever. Most of the time I'm playing in PvE, only certain things ever procced it. But the shield maintenance, which to some, we talked about today on stream, maybe a bit of a skill cap, ceiling, floor raised to some degree. Give you something else to micromanage. Other people might be like, I hate this, right? You don't want that back in your Restoration Shaman gameplay. But that's really it. This is kind of fun. I think it needs obviously a little bit more pizzazz to it potentially. I don't know if it's going to work with Resurgence or not, because Unleashed Life does when you talent it. But for some reason, The new one doesn't, right? It's not hooked up yet, I suppose. But even though that mana return would be really small anyway, but that's just how Resurgence works with that sort of mana returning and gives that crit synergy. But everything else is still the same. They didn't nerf Ancestral Vigor, is still 10%. It could obviously change in the future. They did nerf Fortitude to 5%. All the raid buffs now are 5. So that's what Shout, Int, and the debuffs were 5, but now the raid buffs are also 5. Nothing happened with APT. It still exists, which is still ridiculous. It's still going to be really good. We're still really early on. You're also noticing in the spellbook here as I wrap things down. If you watch the Restoration Druid video, if you are a healer, we have no additional spells we're learning yet. I think they're still working on these. Restoration Druids have 4 new spells or passives building in to other spells during the leveling process. There's nothing for Shaman at all. So I think that's still being worked on right now. People are talking about maybe they're going to build in the Flame Shock, duration as an upgraded ability again, as you learn it in the Shadowlands, or who knows. My only other bit of feedback is I really, really want Windrush Totem baseline. All Druids have Roar back. Bears have 1 minute Roar back. But Shamans have to give up, in this regard for Resto, Graceful Spirit, which is super pog, or Nature's Guardian, which is very helpful on fights with no movement, and obviously maybe big damage. You want your pseudo cheat death Shaman heal. But Windrush is obviously a personal sacrifice for group movement, but Druids don't have to sacrifice anything for theirs, so maybe it's just me being a salty Shaman, but who knows. All the totems are here. Many totems. Handle it. That's the Restoration Shaman. Again, check the links down below for the channel guide for my Twitch link if you want to stop by when we're doing all this testing live. If you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about Restoration Shaman, if you play one, if you're switching back to one, let me know down below in the comment section, or stop by the Twitch stream and we can talk about things as we test more in the future. Every single spec gets tested. That's it. Thank you very much for listening and watching. My Rock Elemental is punching me in the face, basically. And I guess on the way out, this is the challenge mode set for Shaman. I misspoke in a... Rude. You know what? Rude. That's it. You know what? Just end the video, Adam. Just